So let's start with today's session. Let's see what exactly we are doing today. And guys, you'll be hearing the drum and all this sound from the background, so please ignore it for today. It's Republic Day and everyone is celebrating over here. Okay, so let me quickly share my screen and let's start with the session. Let me see if I can minimize this sound. You guys can see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Perfect. Okay, so what exactly we did yesterday? Okay, yesterday we talked about disaster recovery, what is Azure side backup, and we talked about storage redundancy. We talked about LRS, ZRS, GRS, GA, GRS. So these are the things which we talked about. Now today we'll go ahead and start practically seeing how exactly storage account works. We'll see how a blob storage is created. We'll see how what exactly is a soft delete concept. We'll see how we can enable versioning in storage account. We'll see the life cycle of storage account, what are hot tier, cold tier, archive tiers and all. And if time permits, we'll see how do we host a static website using a storage account. These are the things which we'll focus on today. Before I start, anyone has any question, any doubt from any of the sessions, whatever we did till now, then please do let me know. We can spend 10 minutes on that before jumping onto the topics. Anyone, any questions, guys? No questions? The only are not practicing. If you're practicing, definitely you'll have questions. Hopefully everyone is practicing and no one has any doubt. That is totally fine with me. But if you're not practicing, it will be because from next week we'll start with Linux. Post that we'll start with DevOps. And when we start with DevOps, it will be altogether a different ball game. There will be multiple tools coming in at that point of time. We'll start with Azure DevOps. We'll jump on Kubernetes. We'll jump on Ansible. There are security tools where we jump on. So make sure if you're not practicing this, these are very basic. So we are just talking about cloud. So we are talking very basic right now. Actual game will start when we start with DevOps. That is the core roles and responsibility of a DevOps engineer. Okay. So make sure you guys are up to speed and spend your time as much practicing whatever we have done. 1 hour practice is more than enough. Whatever I do, just try to replicate the same at your end. That's it. Nothing more I want. Okay. Need of storage account. If we have SQL, need of storage account. SQL sort of it's your database, correct? You're talking about SQL servers, correct? So that is a database. Storage account is not just, it's not a replacement of a database. It's to store data. There are different types of data which you can store. SQL will have only structural data which you can store in SQL. Wherein in storage account, it accepts any sort of data, block data, non-SQL data, videos, image file, whatever you want, you can simply come and dump. So if you want a storage location, so this is the place which you can do it. Okay. So there's no replacement. So SQL is not a replacement, or storage account is not a replacement of a SQL's database. Nor the files, the table section what we have, that's non-SQL basically. So even that is not a replacement of a non-SQL database. So if your application is using a core non-SQL database such as PostgreSQL, that's not a replacement basically. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind. Okay. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so let's go ahead and start creating the first storage account. So when you go to the storage account, just click on create. Let me create a new resource group. Name it as devopsmela storage account. be very specific. Storage account name, so this is, I can give any name. Name it as dev hyphen, no, there's no hyphen and all you can use, guys. So you have to all lowercase, storage account hyphen dev, something like this. This should be all lowercase. This is already taken. Wow. 1 2 3. Region, I'll select with East US, and there's something at the end, deploy to an edge zone. So this is a new, this is still in preview, they're still coming up. So basically what exactly Azure is trying over here is to collaborate with your mobile network, and by using 5G network which is provided by your mobile providers, they are trying to reach out to everyone. So basically if you're hosting an application, they are making sure that the application is getting served by your nearby place itself. So it's kind of a edge zone LTE which they are trying to collaborate with. So this is, if you click on it, so Azure Public MEC, nothing but it's a multi-access edge, is offering Microsoft that enable data processing closer to your user. So this is basically, if you read through it, it's a new technology which they are working with. So they are trying to collaborate with your 5G network. So wherever you see 5G, so this is edge zones will work over there. Public access edge computing, still in preview. So if it comes in, then we can talk about it. Redundancy, as we talked about, let's stick with LRS. I don't want multiple copies to be replicated to other region because that comes with a cost. Always calculate things. Whenever you're doing things, everything is cost oriented. Okay, so everything comes with a cost, guys. So calculate that before you select anything. So I'll stick with LRS for now. These are some security features, whether you want to enable REST API, whether you want to enable public access. So let's keep it as it is for now. Account key access and all we'll talk about when we talk about SaaS. Okay, so at that time we'll talk about all this. For now, just ignore it. Data lake storage Zen 2. What did I say? Blob Zen 2 is it will enable hierarchical namespace. If you click on this, you will have hierarchical namespace enabled. So this option is basically used for data lakes. Why do we use data lake? Data lake is nothing but is a location where you dump data. So you will have a device, for example, you will have a device which connects to multiple sources, and it's collecting sources from your mobile device, your computer device, your server and all, and you want a location where you dump it before it goes to the ETL process. I'm talking about big data, guys. Okay, so just an FYI. So this is the location where all your data from varied sources will get dumped. Then you will have some sort of ETL process. That's ETL stands for extraction, transformation, loading. Then you will use some Apache ecosystem wherein you will extract those data, then you will transfer those data, then you will load the data to some other tool. Then you will do a business analysis. That is what big data is all about. So this is the place where if you enable this, then this is the place where your data will be dumped initially. So that is what data lake is all about. Just a simple example of big data solution, how it works. Okay. Then from using this, you can even have ADF pipelines. That's Azure Data Factory pipelines you can create for extracting data from one source and putting the data to other source. So that's for data engineers. Like if you in future, if you want to be a data engineer or any such roles if you want to go with, then you need to know all this. Okay. Access tier, I'll talk about access tier in a bit when I'll explain the life cycle of stored data. Then at that time I'll explain you what exactly this access tier is and all about. For now, let's go back. Network access, do you want to enable public access? So if you select this option, so if I create a storage account and if I put something to it, any one of you guys can access it because I am enabling public access on it. But this is not, from the security perspective, this is not right. You cannot allow public access. So as of now, I'll keep it. Later I'll show you how do we play around with network, how do we play around with accesses, how do we restrict things, how do we just allow just your VM to access your storage account and all this. What is private endpoint? So there are many things. We'll talk about that from the security perspective. Okay, network routing. So we'll stick with Microsoft network routing. Enable soft delete and all. I just disable it all for now, and then I'll talk about this later. Encryption type. So as I said, your data's in storage account are encrypted, whether it's in transit or whether it's on rest. It's in rest. It's all encrypted. So these are the encryption method which is used. Tags review. So we are just creating a storage account, guys. Post storage account. In the storage account, there are 4 types of things we can store. Blob, that is you need to create container, files, tables, and queue. So anything you can create. So for now, we'll focus on blobs, guys. Most of the time we'll be using blob, and queue if it's a testing environment or something like that, then you may use queue. The reason the queue is not frequently used over here in the storage account, the reason is simple, it's asynchronous, guys. So very rarely you'll see any application wherein the queuing is asynchronous, so they will not prefer queuing service in storage account. So most of the time you will be using storage account for 2 purposes. One is for blob. You'll be creating container, you'll be junking your data in it. The second is for file share. You want to create a network file share path wherein you want to share that with all your other teams so that they can put in the data in one single location. So then you'll have file share path created. Perfect. Now if I go back, this is how my storage account will look like. Replication type, we have selected LRS. Okay, question. What is LRS, guys? When I select replication LRS, what will happen? Anyone?
Within a single zone, 3 replica will be created.
Perfect. Very good, Saurav. Okay. So this is storage V2, and this is the name of the resource group. Hierarchy namespace disabled. Default access tier hot. What exactly this hot, cold, and everything is, we'll talk about that later. And all this information regarding your storage account is given right over here. Now, if you come to the data storage part, this is the place wherein containers, when you create a container, so basically you will be able to store blobs. Okay, blob data you can store over here, and if you select file share, this is the place where you can create a file share path. Queues, this is a place where your queuing will be. Table, this is the place wherein you can have a non-SQL data tables created. Okay, for now we'll stick with containers, and in the containers I can go ahead and create a first container. Okay, I can give any container name as test storage, whatever name you want to give, or just give test, that is okay. Public access, even though your storage account we have enabled public access, you can restrict at the container level, you can keep it private. So even though if you have access to my storage account, you cannot access this container of mine. Container is nothing but, guys, it's just a folder which we are creating. Inside the folder you will have all your files stored. Just keep it that way. So at the container level, if you want to place restrictions, so this is the option: private, no anonymous access, blob, anonymous read access for blobs only. So inside the container, if you want to give read access just for your data, blob is nothing but it's a binary data, guys, which store text binary data, that is blob. Okay, so if you want, you can have access given, read access only to the particular blob, even that is possible. The third option is container anonymous read access for container and blobs. So if you want to give anonymous read access, just read access, then you can use the third option. For now, let's stick with the private one, and these are some advanced option of encryption scope if you want to select. And for now, let's create this test container. Done. Now inside this test container, you can go ahead and start putting your blob. Now there are three types of blobs which can be created. The blob are of three types. The first blob is of block blob. When you select the premium option, we have selected standard, that's why we haven't got the option what type of blob you want to save. But when you go and select the premium option, at that time you will see all these types. Append blob, and last but not the least is page blob. The one which you will frequently use, this will be the block blob. So block blob is basically stores text binary data. Text, so text files and all, your video files, your music file, all everything will come over here. Text binary data. Up to, initially you can store up to 4.7 TB. So basically what exactly it is, it's a block of data that can be managed individually. So we are talking about block of data. When I say block of data, example of data could be video files, your media files, or any documents. This is what, etc. This is what your blob data, and this is the type which you will be using mostly. Now what is this append? Append is made up of blocks. So basically this is part of your block blobs, but are more optimized for append operation. So this is made up of block like block blobs, so the one which we have using at the top, but this is more optimized, for append operation. What do I mean by append operation? For example, you have an application, you want to store some application logs. Example, application logs, app logs, that is frequently it gets appended. Event logs, and you want to append things like very frequently, so this is the storage which you will be using. If you want to store your application logs, event logs, any such data which frequently you need to append, so this is the blob type you will be using, append blob. Okay, so this again is comes very handy when you want to store your such data somewhere in a location with minimum cost. So this is the append blob you will be using at that point of time. So your application will be dumping all the garbage data, not garbage, I would say, logs are very important. So such data will be stored inside storage account with the type append blob. Now what is this page blob? These are all interview questions, guys. If you're giving any cloud administrative interviews, these are definitely the questions which will be asked. And if I am taking a solution architect interview, then this is definitely I'll be asking, because I want when you're designing an application, I will definitely ask where exactly you'll be storing the logs. When you say hard drive, then you're rejected. I cannot put everything on my hard drive, and this is which is very expensive affair. SSD, it's very expensive. I cannot put logs on those. I need to recycle the logs. I need to rotate the logs somewhere else. Okay, so this when you're designing the architect, this is what your answers should be. This is as compared to SSD, this storage account append blob is cheap. If you do an apple to apple comparison, then this option is cheap. Okay, now the third one is the page blob. So if you want to give random access, so it stores random access files up to 8 TB. Random access files up to 8 TB. So basically this is basically used to store VHD files. That's backup of your VMs. Okay. Example, if you want to have an example, so this is to store VHD files. So VHD is nothing but backup of VMs. This is 3 types of blobs. So you have not seen these types because we were using standard, guys, but if you go and use the premium one, you will see these options. Let me show you. Let's go back. Let's create one more storage account. Let me show you all these options. If I select premium, do you see the premium account type? Page blob, block blobs. These are the options which you're seeing it right now. And append blob, it gets automatically when you start putting logs, so automatically it will identify these are append blobs. Okay. Any questions? What are these blobs? Anyone? Any doubt about these 3 types? Okay, perfect, no problem. Okay, where were we? There's the storage account. Okay, I was in the container. So this is the container which we have created. Now let's go and put some data. I can easily put it using this upload option. There are multiple ways. There are storage account browsers. There are tools. You can use CLI commands. You can use PowerShell. You can use SDKs. You can use your own application. You can integrate APIs of storage account, and there are many ways you can put data, collect data, fetch data. The very simplest way I'm showing you right now is through the portal. Okay, so in reality you might be using an application which is going and fetching data from your storage account in the backend. You'll not even come to know it's all happening through our API. You can even do it through CLI command, Terraform, so whatever you can see through which you can use it. I'll be using storage account again in my future sessions with Terraform, wherein I'll be creating a backend and my state file will be stored in my storage account. Even that I'll be doing in future. Okay, so for now let's take with the easiest way of uploading some data. What do I upload? Okay, I'm just uploading something called Azure Artifacts. I don't know what exactly it is, but this is a text file which I'm uploading. If you come to the advanced option, there are multiple authentication type. We'll skip it for now. Blob type, you can select the blob type, which blob you want. If it is append blob, you can forcefully tell it, yeah, this is the append blob, block blob, page block. You can even inform it from here. Block size, so these are the bracket of sizes which you get it. In this your blocks will be created. Access tier, hot. For now let's stick with hot for now. Upload to folder, if you have any specific folder where you want to upload it, all this thing, this is where you can select the options. Okay, now I can simply click on upload. Now once you see an upload, this is how your data will get uploaded. Now if you see the data, this is the name of your file, modified, access tier hot, archive status, we're not archiving this yet. Blob type is block blob. What is the size? 979 bytes. Lease state, again this is very important option. Again I'll talk about this option later when I talk about Terraform. So leasing is kind of, it's available if you lease it, so no one else can use it, as simple as that. So just renting a house, when you rent a house, so it's already given to the person who has rented for a particular duration, and till that point of time no one can use that house, correct? So that is what leasing over here. If I lease it to someone, if I go and lease it, acquire lease, so I'm renting this blob and no one can use it. No other person who has even the administrative access on this cannot use this blob unless I unleash it, unless I go and unleash it. This is what lease means. It's leased right now. Okay, that is what. And where exactly you will be using this, I'll talk about this when we come to the Terraform section. At that time this option will make more sense. Okay, I just unleash it for now. Broken, so this can be used with anyone else. Okay, now if I go inside, if you want to view what exactly this file is, there is an option edit, and in this edit you can automatically, it will make sure what exactly. So this editor is very smart, guys. Even if you have any Python code, any Java code, anything as such, you will be able to view it over here because it supports everything. Basically it has all Visual Basic, it has all the IDE encrypted, Python, PHP, everything you can view over here. So automatically detected, this is nothing but it's a text file. Okay, this is again an overview of your file. Version, did we enable versioning? No. So deleted version, so this will be, this option will be enabled when you have soft delete. What is soft delete? We'll talk about that in a bit. Snapshot, if you want to take a snapshot of your, so snapshot is nothing but it's taking a backup. If you want to take a backup of your existing data, then you can take a snapshot. It will be visible in your snapshot option. Generate SAS, I'll talk about this. This is kind of a access signature. So this is if you want to give access to someone, and if you want to give it privately, then this is the option. You will be generating a key, you will sharing the key with the person, and using the key the person will be able to access your blobs. So this is something we'll see it later when we talk about security. For now, the basic things, let's talk about snapshot. How do we take snapshots and things like that. Now if you want to take snapshot, I can simply click on create snapshot. A snapshot is created. If you want to view the snapshot, you can look over here. So the snapshot is created. Now with the snapshot on, if you try to delete your data, if you try to delete your blob, you cannot delete it. Fail to delete 1 out of 1 blobs. The operation is not permitted because the blob has snapshots. So if you want to delete it, the first thing you have to do is you have to go and delete the snapshot. Keep that in mind. You have to go and delete the snapshot. Then only you can go and delete the data. Now if you go and try to delete it, done, deleted. So if you have snapshot taken, your actual file will not be deleted because that is directly linked. So you need to go and delete it. Let me upload it again. Where it went. Okay, so that is all about snapshot. Now versioning is very important, guys. So if you want to make sure that versions of your files are created, okay, whenever you make changes, the versions is created. For now, if I make changes over here, let me do an edit. Edit new line, something like this. So there's no version getting created basically. I've saved it. Now if I look into the version, nothing is created. So if you have such files wherein versioning is very important, so you need to go and enable versioning at your storage account level. Where you will enable the versioning, that will be enabled at the storage account level. Let's go back to your storage account, and if you come down in the data management section, and over here there is an option of data protection, and these are the recovery option. Now and the tracking option, this is the place enable versioning for your blobs. If I go and enable it, save it, now the versioning is enabled. Now if I go back to my containers, now if I make changes, so whatever line we have added, I'll just go and remove that line. I just remove it. Okay, save it. It should create a newer version of my file. So now let's go and verify if the newer version is created. Did we? Okay, let me add something. New version. Let's refresh the portal itself. See this. You got the new version that was created at 9:15 with the timestamp. This is the version ID through which it will be identified, and this is how it looks like. Now if you add something more, let's go and edit it. Let's name it as version 2 so that we come to know what we are doing. I'm just randomly adding any text, guys, just to give you a glimpse how it works. Now you should have two versions. See this. Okay, now if you want to fall back to the any of this previous version, you can do it. You can select, like if you go and select, this is how these are the versions, and if you want to fall back to any of these versions, you can, any given point of time, you can go and fall back to the, see, if I select this and I mark it as make current version, then it will be falling back to that version. Now again a new version added because I have selected something else. Now if you want to see what exactly this was having nothing in it. This was an actual file. Now if you want to fall back to some other version, the latest one, make current. Now if you go and look what exactly this file was, it is, this was the changes which we made. So this is how versioning works. So this comes very handy. Again, if I want to give an example for storing your state files. So there are multiple people making changes to your state file. If you want to track who has done what was the previous version, what was the version prior to that, then this is the place you need to enable versioning for it. And if I go and delete this file, all gone. The versions are also gone, guys. There's no versions available. So don't you think this is kind of a risky affair wherein you have so many versions and someone by mistakenly deleted, and because of which all my changes has gone. So if even in show deleted items, you can see the previous versions over here. You can see the previous version over here in the show deleted item. Just because you have enabled versioning, it is there over here. You can simply go and view the version and you can do a undelete. See, you can see all your versions over here, and whichever versions they make it current and your file will be available again. The beauty of versioning. Now this is because by default the data are getting stored in the slow deleted blobs, which will be available for minimum time, not throughout. So from there you can also go and recover your files. One way of recovering, if you have version enabled, but the best way of recovering is you need to enable soft delete. Now soft delete is basically, now let me go and delete everything first. Let me disable all the versioning also, delete all the versions also, one version at a time. So this is how you need to go and delete. If you want to delete permanently, you have to go and delete each versions. Now if you delete each version, then you go and delete your actual file. You can go and delete your actual file. Now there is nothing. This is it. Okay, it's coming. Wait. Let me see this. Still this part is still there. I think one version is still remaining. Okay, that's why it's still there. Showing. Yeah. Anyone has any questions, guys? You see someone unmuted.
Oh, sorry, it's my mistake. Sorry.
Ahmed, questions?
Oh, sorry, it's my mistake.
No problem. Okay, guys. So, what is the best way? What if someone deletes it? Your data, your blob is completely gone. So, what is the best way? So, best way is to enable soft delete. What exactly is soft delete? So, for some particular time, like if you enable soft delete for 7 days, so even though if you go and delete the actual file, your Azure will keep that file for 7 days. So you will have 7 days of time to go and recover the file again if you have done it by mistakenly. So in a practice, like in actual world, we keep it for 30 days. From the administrative perspective, we keep it for 30 days. Even someone deletes it for all my resources, not just for storage account, guys. For the soft delete option is available for all my resources. So if someone deletes it by mistakenly, we'll have the data and we can still recover it within 30 days of time. So if you want to enable soft delete, how do we enable it with storage account? So you can come into your data protection option, and I'm just disabling versioning. Now over here there is an option of soft delete. So I can keep delete for in 7 days. You can increase it for 30 days depending upon what you want, but minimum it is 7 days. So you can keep it for 7 days also. So soft delete enable you to recover blob that was previously marked for deletion, okay, including the blob that was overwritten. Okay, if you enable soft delete, so even though after enabling soft delete, if you upload any blob, even though if you go and delete it, it will be available in your delete section. Now if I go and upload it, see, so it will be available in your show deleted section, and you can any given point of time within that 7 days you can come and recover things. Okay, now I have uploaded, now I am deleting it. Now if you go back, see this, it will always be there. I can go and recover it any given point of time, undeleted. This is how soft delete works. Very similar to what we have seen it with versioning, but versioning it just will keep the version of it. Soft delete will actually keep your file. This is how soft delete works, and this works. Soft delete is not just with storage account. You will have soft delete option with your VMs also, and with your disk also. Okay guys, so this is how soft delete will work. So make sure to make use of this data protection. If data protection is enabled, now if I want to delete it permanently, I have to disable this soft delete. Now I have to save it. Now I have to go and delete the blob, then it will be deleted permanently. There's an option of enable permanent delete for soft deleted items. You can enable, if there are soft deleted items past 7 days, then it will be permanently removed. So all these are the options which you can make use of. Create a restore point, enable operational backup. Again, if you want to enable backup, same the vault, how the VM backup we took. If you want to enable any backup policies that it should, all my data should get backed up daily at around 8 AM. So if you want to enable anything as such, you can go and do it. Okay. Now
I
let me
have a
disable
question,
all this. I
please.
don't want all this.
Sure. These recovery mechanism, is it something that standard operational procedure, or is just something that any engineer can decide to do?
No, not any engineers can decide what to be do, what needs to be done, how data will be recovered, how data will be available. No, this is a complete solution architect role. So when you're designing your complete flow, when you're designing your application, when you're designing what all things my application will be using, you will be designing all this availability, resiliency, redundancy, all this you will be designing at that point of time. Based on that, all this will be set. So tomorrow when you move out of DevOps, like when you go one step further from DevOps, then the next role for you would be a solution architect. When you become a solution architect, at that time you will be defining all this. You will be telling, yeah, I need a soft delete for 30 days. I need the backup of my storage. I need my VMs needs to be backup. All this redundancy plan you need to set up. Because if you set up a flow and there's no availability redundancy, what happens if your application is down? All this disaster recovery plan and everything. So an engineer cannot decide what needs to be done. A cloud engineer was given a task, go and
Okay,
create a
so in
storage
a
account,
nutshell, it's part
and
of the
these are the
SOP.
policies and
Correct.
properties which you need to set.
Okay.
You need to tell him.
So in a nutshell, it's part
All right.
of the SOP.
Thank you.
Yes. Definitely, it's always a part of SOP. Engineers has no control. Cloud engineers are like, we say it as a puppet. I told the cloud engineer, go create a VM. This is my configuration. These are the properties, and everything is given in a documentation. He just follows the documentation. He creates the things for you. Nowadays, we don't even reach out to cloud engineer for that, doing that thing, because we do it through Terraform or ARM templates. Everything is done, written in the template file, and the template is going and creating things automatically without anyone intervenes. And all this thing properties we can mention in the Terraform itself, that enable this, have this options enabled. So keep that in mind. Okay. So yeah, engineers at the L1 L2 level, they cannot decide what needs to be done. Everything is always documented, and that should be the way. If some company blindly following, doing whatever they want, then there's no one particular thing which is happening in your company, and at some given point of time there would be some issues which you cannot tackle. Okay, suppose this is the container which is very important container. All your important files are getting from your application uploaded to this container, and you have no redundancy enabled at this container level, and someone deletes this, or this container gets corrupted. Forget about deleting, this container itself gets corrupted. How do you back up? Correct. So keeping that in mind, this is how you need to tackle things.
Yeah, Rohit, I have one question
Okay.
here. It's
Now,
regarding, because we are creating storage accounts, containers, manually uploading the data here, right? So we are setting up the properties here, okay? Soft deleter, deleted box, how to recover. In case, because the VM level, there is applications running, any Apache Tomcat or any database is running, the logs, we have the separate mount application mount points, right? So that logs automatically to automate the to automate to the storage account. It's possible, right? To
yes. Very good question. So yeah, you can use external mounting. You can, so the append blob which I said, so you can have a storage account created. You can create a new mount, and you can mount on your VMs. So it's mostly on Linux VMs where you will be doing the mounting, and all your logs will be diverting to that particular mount. And once it comes to the mount, it will sync
the mounting
automatically
is
with
based on
So there are
cron tabs,
plugins
right?
available
So
using which you can
automatically
do the
logs is
mounting.
storing into
Cloud.
storage account.
Yeah, cron tab is a very old fashioned way of scheduling. So nowadays we use system CTL timers. That is cron tab. Like if you go back to RHEL 5, CentOS 5 and Ubuntu 16 and below, then at that time cron tab was making more sense. Now with the RHEL 7 and CentOS 7, Ubuntu 20 and 1804, we have systems D timers, so which is more friendly and more powerful than cron tabs. Yeah, so keeping your things
So
in mind,
that
cron
is
tab
the
will
syncing
automatically
through,
schedule your syncing.
to PowerShell
Cron tab is
scripts
also an
or
option.
any Terraform scripts?
No, if you see, you don't don't need any sort of scripting over here in such cases. If you're doing a mounting and in your application only you're sending all the logs to that mount location. If your app is, suppose you're using Apache, so your logs are getting stored somewhere in the var www logs. But if you're changing in the configuration, if you're changing the path and if you're giving a mount location, automatically that goes to the mount location and automatically it will be synced because you're putting in the mount location. That's a NFS, that's a network file storage basically. So always if your VM is connected to internet, it will do auto sync. No scripting is required over here. Now where do you need scripting? Where you're not actually mounting anything, but you have kept it in your local VM.
Yes,
and from
correct.
local VM you want a continuous sync to happen from your local VM to the storage account location. At that time you will have such scripting wherein it will automatically run at this point of time and it will go and sync it to your storage at some particular time. So that is the place where you will need scripting. But if you're mounting, the question is if you're mounting, so you're already having a location as a disk on your local VM, and if you're putting data directly to it, it's already it's already getting synced. So it's two different things. Okay, very good. Now there is a option of lifecycle management which you can do with your blobs, guys. Storage basically. Now you cannot keep on dumping your data. There is a tier which we are using, that is a hot tier. So whenever you go to delete it, hot tier, what exactly this hot tier is and what are the consequences if you keep every data in hot tier. Let's go to Notepad. Okay, there are three types of tier which you will come across. Hot, the one which you're seeing it right now. Second is cold. The third is archive. So the main thing what differentiate all these tiers are the billing. If you're keeping your data in hot tier, so this is also known as online tier. So this is the data is stored in this tier which is accessed or modified very frequently. Then you need to keep this data in hot tier. If you have some data which is very frequently accessed and very frequently modified, then you need to keep it in hot tier. This has highest storage cost. This hot tier has highest storage cost as compared to others. Highest storage cost. So costing is very high because you are very frequently accessing these data. Cold tier on the other hand, again this is a part of an online tier. So this is optimized for data which is infrequently accessed or modified. Infrequently accessed or modified. Now how do I measure which is infrequently accessed and which is not infrequently? So any data which has not been accessed from since last 30 days, that comes into your cold tier. So cold tier has lower cost than the hot tier. The storage cost in cold tier is lower than hot. So any data which is basically not been modified or accessed since last 30 days, then it comes in cold tier. Okay, and now what exactly is archive tier? Now these both are online tier because you are accessing this data very frequently, even though it is more than 30 days, that is okay. But any data, this is offline tier, guys. Okay, so basically what Microsoft does, if you have any data which is not been accessed, you're not been accessing this data, is kind of a raw data, you're dumping the data, but you may access this data somewhere down the line after years or year, or you're keeping companies data, very important finance data, which you may after 10 years you may go and look into that. So such data comes in offline tier. Why do I say offline tier? Because immediately you cannot go into the portal and access that data. If you're marking any data inside archive tier, so basically what eventually Microsoft will do, Microsoft has SAN boxes. SAN is nothing but storage access network. Storages, they have additional storages. All these data belongs to archive tier, goes to that SAN. Now Microsoft detach it and keep it separate, so it's not readily available. If you want to access this data, you have to give at least 6 to 12 hours till 24 hours time to Microsoft, and you need to inform Microsoft, dude, I need to access this data. Then they may go and attach that SAN, or if they are keeping it somewhere, using that you will start fetching the data. Keeping data in archive tier is very cheap, literally very cheap. So if you have any data which you want to dump it, you may use it or you may not use it in future, then you can keep it in archive. So this is the tier where data is rarely accessed and it's very cheap. Very cheap to store. Okay. So minimum, the requirement is minimum, if you're keeping the data in archive, minimum requirement is you have to keep your data for 180 days. That's the minimum requirement if you want to use archive tier. So if you're keeping your data in archive tier and after 1 month you're coming, no, I want to access the data, that makes no sense. That is for cold tier. Then archive data minimum for 180 days. So these are the 3 tier. Now based on these tiers, what you see, you can create a lifecycle rule. So you will not go and look, okay, my data is not been accessed for 30 days, now let's put it in cold. No, you don't have time, you will not even remember. You will have TBs of data in your storage account. So if you want all this thing, that after, if the data are not accessed frequently, it should move up from hot to cold so that I get less charged. And if it has not been getting access for more than 30 days, it is hardly getting access, then it should be moved from cold tier to archive tier. This is automatically if you want to do. Then there is a life cycle management which you can go and do it. This is the place you can create a life cycle management rule. You can click on rule, add rule, give any name, data movement, whatever name you want to give, data movement, LC, lifecycle. Rule apply rule to all the blobs in your storage, limit blob with filters. If you want to limit it with some specific filters, you can do it. For now I'll apply it for all. Blob type, append or block blob, which one you want. Blob subtype, is it a snapshot version also you want to move, or just the base blob. Next, this is the place where you can put in the condition which I was talking about. If the data has not been last modified on 30 days, then move the data to cold storage. Selected, one condition done. Second condition, if the data has not been modified for, let's take an example of 90 days, then move into archive storage. Okay. Now if the data has not been modified since 180 days, because that is the condition for archive storage, you have to keep it for 180 days. Let's take it 181, then delete it. Now these are 3 conditions I have added. Data not been accessed for 30 days, move it to cold. Data not been accessed for 181 days, move it to archive. 181 days, then move it to archive. Data not been accessed since then delete it. This is your status is enabled, and this is what your life cycle rule is all about. see this. These are the conditions which we have. These are the 3 conditions: 30 days, 90 days, 181 days, then deleted. These are if condition, if clauses which we have entered, using which my data will be moved now. Now this is what the tiers are all about. Online tiers and offline. Online tiers are hot tier and cold tier, very frequently accessed data. Offline tiers are kind of very rarely accessed data comes into offline tiers. This is how you will be coming up with a lifecycle rules. Questions? Anyone? No questions, guys? About the lifecycle rules? Okay. So if there's no question, we'll jump on to the last topic.
Rohit,
How
one
do we
question here.
host a
During the life
static-
cycle management, we
So-
last one deleted blobs, right? More than 180,
Okay,
180
yes.
days, not pieces. So that will be archive data, right?
Correct.
So how to see that archive
Correct.
data? Where
After archive, it will be deleted. It goes for deletion. Archive, we will see the tags. So if there is a data which is archived, it not be readily available the way it is.
Okay.
The blobs are available. You can see the type. Okay, this type, this type, where exactly? This type, what you see at the access tier. You can see the once it is go to archive status, you can see the archive status also. It will be visible over here. This is archive data.
Okay, fine.
But this will not be readily available that you can click and access it. It takes time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you have
got
to
it.
be
Thank
mentally
you.
prepared if you want to access archive data. That takes times. Okay, no problem. Okay, static website hosting. Now storage account also hosts static pages, guys. Many of them are using the static pages. If you have a HTML page and you want to host it, and you don't want to spend money buying a domain, creating DNS entries, then hosting it some on a VM or some platform, because that is all costly affair, correct? Just a static page it is. You just want to display a static page. And why do you want to spend all this? You can make use of storage account and you can display a static page. Okay, now just imagine I have a page. Let me see what I can open. Okay, Notepad++ is okay. So imagine I want to display a static page written as in HTML. I want to display something called welcome to DevOps Mela. Correct? Very simple static page. Okay, simple, no fancy things I'm adding. I'll keep it on my desktop, name it as index.html. Why this is saved as text file?
The extension is not correct.
Where is HTML? This is HTML. Saved it. See, this is now perfect. Okay, index.html. If I just click on it, welcome to DevOps Mela. This is a static page which is I'm hosting it right now on my local. Now if you have some fancy looking static page wherein you're adding images and all, that is something we can do it with HTML also. That is not the case. Now if I want to host this, okay, so basically I need to have a domain name, first thing. Then I need to host it somewhere on a hosting website like GoDaddy and all. Or if I'm hosting by myself, then I'll be using Azure app, or I'll be making use of VMs where I'll be hosting this, correct? But I don't want to spend all this. So such things can be easily done with a storage account. You can put the data, this file into your storage account, and you can host it using a storage account itself, so that everyone can access it. How do we do it? If you come down, in data management under storage account, there's an option of static website. You can enable static website. It will ask for index document name. So what is the name of the document? Index.html, correct? That is the name. What if the document is not found? If this page is not visible, then you need to have an error page also, correct? So I'll create an error page also. Before that, I'll just name it as error.html. Okay, I'll save it. Now let's go and create this error page also, guys. Let's copy this entire thing again, put it over here, just name it as 404 page not found. Okay, something like this, fancy. I'll name it as error. Perfect. Let's test it on local if error page is visible. Good. Now what is this mistake? It seems. Okay, this is good now. It's working. Let's test it once. Yeah, perfect. Okay, now this is the link through which primary endpoint through which your web pages will be visible to others. But before that, as soon as you enable this, as soon as you save it and put in your information, there is a container got created with the $web, and this is the place where you need to upload both the files which you just created. Now come to your files, desktop. These are the files. Let's go and put it over here. Done. Now let me go and access my web page. How do I access? I just need to use this endpoint. Done. Done. Even you guys can access this. If anyone wants to try, your web page will be visible in public. Let me know if you guys are able to see this page.
Yes.
Anyone? Now, how the error page will be visible? If I go and delete my main page. Let's delete this index. Now refresh it. Does not exist. Now it should go to my error page. Basically, if there's no such thing, let me refresh it once. And the one who has not
Yeah, it's showing error.
tried the link once, you should go to the error page directly. Yes, mine is not showing because of the caching. So let's go and open in incognito mode. Not found. This is how you will be able to very simply you can host your static page, not dynamic, guys. Again, if there is a changes happening in your website, no, nothing such will be accepted over here. Only static pages you can come and put it over here. You can even put extra pages in front of it. Okay guys, so you can have multiple pages. Make sure when you're accessing you have everything enabled. So that's it for today, guys. Tomorrow we'll again focus on storage account, and post that Monday onwards we'll start with Linux. We'll still have multiple other services in Azure to cover. Azure Active Directory, Azure Kubernetes Services, Azure Vault, Azure SQL Server, Azure App Services. There are many, but that is something we'll do it when we do the DevOps pipelines and all. At that time, together, hand in hand, we'll do it. Okay. So tomorrow we'll focus again on storage account and see the access part, the security part, the private endpoints. All this we'll see it. And Monday onwards we'll start with basic Linux. Having basic understanding of Linux is very important to be very successful in DevOps. So we'll have couple of sessions on Linux. Post that we'll jump on and start with DevOps. Okay, that's it for me today. If you have any questions, do let me know. And before I jump on to Linux, Monday, if you want doubt solving session, tell me in advance. If you guys are practiced and there are doubts, then we can have a doubt solving session on Monday before starting a new topic. So decide yourself within the group and let me know if there is a doubt solve session required on Monday, or I can jump on and start Linux. Okay, that's it for me. Any questions before I wind up the call for today?
Yes, Freud.
No
Yes,
questions?
this is
Thank
Guy.
you
So
very
I was
much.
wanting to ask you if we would have
Anyone?
maybe an
Guy?
example where we would create like a VMSS with all the security around it, like bastions, NSG, ASG, NAT possibly. I know, of course, you've showed us separately how to, how each of them actually could be created, but I was wondering if you would have an example with all those security measures actually implemented.
Very good question, Guy. So this is something tried by yourself, and if you get stuck, let me know, then we can have a session on that. So the only thing you have different will be each and every service you need to create by yourself, because when you create a VMSS, everything gets created automatically. So what you have to do, create a virtual network, create subnets, create NSG, this part is created, create a load balancer, then go to VMSS, and all the services which you already created, just use those services. Because what we do in VMSS, we used to create then and there. Don't do it, because you have beforehand you have created all this by yourself. Now go and make use of it and select that option. It's not that difficult, Guy. It seems very difficult, but if you create one component at a time, it becomes very easy. Do it by yourself.
Okay.
If you're not going through it, let me know, we can do it over the phone. Okay, perfect. Anyone else? Perfect. Thank you. Bye bye. See you guys tomorrow, and let's continue with storage account.